Okay.
Okay.
We're live. Okay, so the song first, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to sing Janila Pramadana for Param Gurudev. Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Bhakti Prajnana Kesava Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jaya Nila Prema Dhana Karuna Pracho Jaya Nila Prema Dhana Karuna Pracho Hena Prabhu Kotha Gela Acharya Thakur Hena Prabhu Kotha Gela Acharya Thakur Taha Mora Sarup Rupa Kaha Sanata Kaha Dasa Raghunatha Patita Pavan Kaha Mora Bhata Juga Kaha Kavira Eka Kale Kotha Gela Gauranatara Pashane Kuti Matha Anale Pashibo Gauranga Gunera Nidhi Kotha Gile Pabo Se Saba Sangira Sange Je Kailo Vilas Se Saba Sangiro Sange Je Kailo Vilas Se Sangana Paya Kande Narottamadas Se Sangana Paya Kande Narottamadas Jaya Nila Prema Dhana Karuna Prachur Hena Prabhu Kotha Gela Acharya Thakur Hena Prabhu Kotha Gela Srila Bhakti Prajnana Kesava Thakur Srila Bhakti Prajnana Kesava Goswami Bhakti Prajnana Kesava Goswami Bhakti Prajnana Kesava Goswami Bhakti Prajnana Kesava Goswami Ashila Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Goswami Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Goswami Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Goswami Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Goswami Shila Bhakti Vedanta Vamana Goswami Bhakti Vedanta Vamana Goswami Srila Bhakti Vedanta Tivikam Goswami Bhakti Vedanta Tivikam Goswami Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Guru Parampara Guru Parampara Parampara Guru Parampara Thakur Narottama Thakur Narottama Narottama Thakur Narottama Thakur Narottama Thakur Narottama Narottama Thakur Narottama Vrindavana Dham Jaya Vrindavana Dham Vrindavana Dham Jaya Vrindavana Dham Jaya Navadipa Dham Jaya Navadipa Dham Navadipa Dham Jaya Navadipa Dham Rupa Sanatan Jaya Rupa Sanatan Rupa Sanatan Jaya Rupa Sanatan Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Thank you.
Jai Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Srimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Srimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Vamana Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Srimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Srimad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesava Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Mahabhagavat Srila Gaura Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Baladevi Vibhusham Gaudiya Bharantaracharya Ki Jai. Jai Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Treya Ki Jai. Jai Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai. Shri Rup Sanatan Shri Bhata Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bharadasa Raghunath Sat Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai. Jai Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Gauda Parsada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Hardas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sikha Holsi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Shri Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Shri Antadvip Mayapur Simantadvip Gautandvip Madhyadvip Koladvip Ritadvip Janadvip Motandvip Rudadvip Atmaka Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Bhadravan, Bandiravan, Belvan, Lohavan, Mahavan, Madhuvan, Talvan, Kamudvan, Bahulavan, Vrindavan, Kadiyavan, Kamiyavan, Brajamandal Ki Jai. Shishi Radha Krishna Gopa Gopiko Govardhan Parasavad Matmika Shri Brajamandal Ki Jai. Shamakund Radha Kund Gidi Govardhana Ki Jai. Purnamasi Devi Yogamai Maharani Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Vrindadevi Maharani Ki Jai. Gopishwa Mahadev Ki Jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Ki Jai. Ketra Mandal Ki Jai. Sadhava Vignasa Shingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. Bhakta Prabha Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Charidam Ki Jai. Chari Sampradaya Ki Jai. Charya Charya Ki Jai. Akara Maharaj Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai. Shri Keshav Ji Gaudiya Mat Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Go Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Tirabhav Ki Jai. Kartik Brat Ki Jai. Raj Mandal Parikrama 2025 Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Bol.
Thank you so much. Thank you to both Nalini Didi and Chaitanya Maharaj for both the Kirtan and the Jaitwani, and of course the Harikatha that we're going to listen to. But Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshururmittam Yana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shishimashila Bhakti Vedanta Naharayane Tinamine Namo Vishnupadaya Radha Govinda Priyatmane Shishimashila Bhakti Jivanacharya Tinamine Vanchakalpatarubhisha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Devotees from across the world, firstly, thank you for joining this Bhakti Zoom virtual parikrama. Originally, I was thinking that maybe Tridandi Maharaj would do it by himself and then I won't be involved and not do Bhakti Zoom at all, actually. But somehow, through inspiration and association and blessings of Vaishnavas, they've inspired me and the Bhakti Zoom Seva team to do some seva for Kartik Mas and this Kartik-vrata that we're going to take. We're going to start off with taking Sankalpa and hearing the glories of our Param Gurudeva Nitilila Pravish, Tom Vishpada Stodra Sata, Shishimashila Bhakti, Prajnana Kesava Goswami Maharaj, who actually, we as we go up the parampara and we look at the disappearance and appearance day, we're always forever grateful. And when we're hearing about the glories of these Vaishnavas, then and these acharyas, we start to relish how lucky we are in this world to have the opportunity to go by either mind or physically to these pilgrimage places that they've established. So we're really, really fortunate to have this opportunity to actually take part in this Kartik-vrata with our hearts, whether we're in Vrindavana or not. That is not prominent. It's where our heart is what Gurudeva would say. So we're really fortunate that Tridandi Maharaj and various esteemed guests will be joining and speaking on the different places that we would visit in Vrindavan, so that you also feel that you are there and can offer your prayers there. So today we'll start with Sankalpa, speaking on the start of Kartik-vrata, which is also Damodar-vrata, and Niyam Seva-vrata, and I'm forgetting one more, but I'm sure Ujjvala, which is Srimati Radharani herself, of course. And on top of that, it is also our Param Gurudev's disappearance day. He also took the particular time to leave his body on this day at a particular time as well. We'll hear about that. So there's so much auspiciousness going on. So without further ado, I will ask Tridandi Maharaj to start our Sankalpa. And then we will move over. Unfortunately, Bon Maharaj was meant to come. He's held in meetings. So luckily, my husband, Vipin Prabhu, has stepped in. But hopefully we'll have Bon Maharaj back again at some point. So without further ado, Maharaj, the floor is yours. I'm going to move into another room again, the echoey room, while you give Harikatha. Haribo.
Okay. Thank you, Yashodhari. Thank you, Yashodhari. Thank you, Yashodhari. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtabitam Jina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapatam Pikam. Priya Surupe, Daita Surupe, Prema Surupe, Sahaja Rupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhueka Rupe, Tatala Rupe, Swavana Surupe. Anapita Chirim Chirat Kuranai Varati Nokalo, Samadapaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam. Haripurata Sundarata Dikatam Vasadipita, Sadahridare Kandare Sparatu Vasachinandanaha. Yam Prabhajantam Anapetyam Apetikrityam Dvaipayam Viraha Katala Ajuhava Putreti Tam Matayo Tarava Vinidustam Sarabhutam Hridim Munimanatoshmi Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Laksha Chipta Shikarmadi Tarangamadhi Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prabhana Vrinde Namaste Charanarabindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Bharadam Tato Mamanastikatena Kapi Tavaivasmi najivami tvaivina. Iti vignaya radhe tvam nayamam charantikam. First of all, offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev. Nityalila Pravishta Om. Asto Tadasara Srimad. Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. And again, I'm offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of our dear monks. Nityalila Pravishta Om. Asto Tadasara Srimad. Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And today, especially, I'm offering my Dandavat pranams to our dearmost Nityalila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Srimad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesava Goswami Maharaj, and to all our divine Rupanuga Guru Varga and all the assembled devotees who are here today, watching, listening. My Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vansha Kalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubevacha, Patitanam Pavnibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So today, 7th of October, 2025, Tuesday, and I'm sitting in, fortunately, Radha Kund, and we're going to be describing something of the significance of Kartik, the first day of Kartik, and we'll say something about Sarad Purnima, and I'll offer a brief Pushpanjali to Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesava Goswami Maharaj, because Vipin Prabhu, who is speaking after me, he will elaborate on the glories of Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesava Goswami Maharaj. I'll just say something. So, yes, as Yashodhari was saying, we, first of all, today, go to the banks of Mother Jamuna, and we chant prayers, the Yamunastakam, Chidananda Bano Sarananda Suno Paraprema Patrim Prabhavama Gutri Akhanam Lavitri Parashema Datri Pavitri Imam Nimamupita Putri. We offer pranams to Jamuna Devi, and under the guidance of our beloved Gurudev, we perform our Sankalpa. And Gurudev goes through many mantras, etc. And finally, at the end, he always says exactly the same thing. Please pray that I will become a Palyadasi of Srimati Radharani. And I can remember at that time, what's that, 15 years ago? Didn't have much idea really what that meant. Something. And today, I think I have probably less idea what it means. But at the same time, I'm waiting for the mercy. I understand the direction. So Gurudev is giving this clear indication of what is our goal, our aim and object. And we've been discussing in our Chaitanya Charitamrita, especially the 4th chapter of Adi Lila, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, or Krishna's Kaviraj is describing what is our aim and object, is to be the servants of the gopis. Mahaprabhu himself, he's serving the gopis. The gopis praying for Krishna is higher than Krishna's praying for them. The gopis praying for Krishna is what ignites Krishna's heart in his relationship with them. So our focus and attention is always on the divine lotus feet of Srimati Radhika. So this is the mood of our Sankalpa. And of course, today, all of us can take our individual brats, whatever that is that we feel will enhance our bhakti for the next 12 months at least. And we can practice some vow, thinking I will just follow this perhaps for a month, with the hope that we might be able to extend it for the next 12 months. For example, we might like to increase our chanting. We might like to take various vows. My Gurudev was saying today, don't criticize, don't offend devotees. Many things we can consider to follow today. We can just say, for example, our restrictions on these cell phones can be more controlled. I'm sure many of us have addictions to these phones that have become part of our life. So in all this way, we can sort of sharpen up our whole devotional focus and intention, particularly the intention. What is my sadhya? Where am I going? So this is always clearly enunciated by the Mahajans and the Acharyas in our line very clearly. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, and particularly Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesava Goswami Maharaj, who chose himself to leave this world on this very day, the first day of Kartik in 1968, on the 6th of October, at around about Sandhya Aarti time, 7:30, he left this mortal world for his Nitya Leela. So this has been described extensively by Srila Gurudev himself, and the devastation that all those Vaishnavas felt and experienced at the time. Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesava Maharaj is one of the principal, we can say, movers of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati's movement that he inaugurated. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of course, initiated everything 500 years ago. And Rupa Goswami took those teachings and passed them down through our Guru Parampara. But that current had pretty much died down after Srila Bhakti Baladev Vidyabhushan and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. They were no prominent preachers, but Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he raised that flag of the Gaudiya line, the Gaudiya teachings, to accept divine worship of Sri Radhika. And this was carried on dramatically by his illustrious son, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesava Maharaj came to his lotus feet when he was a very young man, practically 17, 18 years old. He came with his two aunties, Sarojini, what's her name? Remember? Sarojini and another one. So is Bipin is there? He can call through to me. So and one of the aunties, I think it was Sarojini perhaps, was already initiated by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. So this was the first meeting of Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesava Maharaj with Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. And from that meeting, there was some connection that transpired, because we know in the life of Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesava Maharaj, he knew nothing except his guru. His life and soul entirely were for the service of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. He knew nothing else besides this. And we have the glorious example of his Guru Nishta, particularly, which we hear every year at this time, when Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was being threatened in Paramatala by the outraged Smarta Brahmins. They actually wanted to kill him. And they were pelting the parikrama party with stones and bottles, etc. And they wanted to kill him. This is Bengal. Bengal, they kill people like this. So Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesava Maharaj, Vinod Brahmachari at that time, he immediately, because of his nishta and his affection for his Gurudev, did not even think twice, just immediately pulled Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati into a small house and demanded that he change cloth immediately, because they were about the same size. So he put on the saffron robes of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, who immediately understood the urgency of the situation. And Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesava Maharaj, because of his youthfulness and high intelligence, was able to just mingle with the crowd, and somehow or other, they called the police, of course, at that time, and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was able to escape with his life. So this is a most wonderful example of Guru Nishta. And Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, he continued this mood, his entire dedicated service practice until 1968. This happened in perhaps 1930, 31, something like this. And Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj left this world in 1968. But he did amazing preaching with his in his life. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati's established 64 temples or stans, places of worship of Lord Chaitanya in India. And Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, he maintained that. He would hire bogies of trains and take huge traveling parikrama parties to the south of India, to Dwarka, across to Dwarka. They would hire 3 bogies, one for cooking, two for the devotees. And they would travel across India like this. And his preaching was completely out of the box because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is the most controversial preacher to ever have graced the world. And all his predecessor acharyas were of that same stamp of fearlessness. We have Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and then we have Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati himself. And because of this mood of complete fearlessness, and this mood can only come when one is utterly dedicated to service to the Supreme Lord. And they are all Nitya Siddha Parikas, all of them. So there's not one particle of fear of this material energy within any of these personalities, especially Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj. So there are so many instances and pastimes where he would demonstrate that utter fearlessness. And as I've just described in Paramatala, was an extreme case of that. But in many of his preachings and teachings and so on, he would generate that mood of fearlessness, which was directly passed down to Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. In the same way, passed down to Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami and Bhaktivedanta Srila Trivikram Maharaj and Srila Bhaktivedanta Vamana Goswami Maharaj. So these personalities are like the embodiments. And Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, he's like the pivotal link to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati that Westerners have through Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. There was a time in Seattle when Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj left his body in 1968, as I've described in 6th of October. And Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada was describing his glories. He was in Seattle in US. And he asked or demanded that the devotees, they put a picture of Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj on all the altars in his centers. But as along with many other different things that he's given, he didn't do. Life-size painting. He wanted a life-size. I'm sitting here this afternoon with my dear friend Bhaktivedanta Shudarvati Maharaj, and he's telling me that a life-size painting of Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj was in the heart of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This is what he wanted, because Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, through Srila Bhakti Narayan Maharaj, had basically picked him out of Mathura. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj was sitting in Mathura, and his preaching had not been so successful in Jhansi and different places. And through the encouragement of Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, he pulled him to Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj in order to give him sannyas. Because without this sannyas ashram, this sannyas vesh, he wouldn't have been empowered to cross the Atlantic Ocean in the same way. If he'd just gone as a grihasta, that wouldn't have, he wouldn't have been empowered in that way. But because he reluctantly, finally, took this sannyas vesh from Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, then he was able to do such immense preaching in the Western world. So we are so grateful to Srila Bhakti Prajnana Kesava Maharaj today for giving this mercy for the Western people in particular to receive the dedicated mercy of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So I'm not going to say much more now because our dear Sripad Vipin Prabhu, he will elaborate on many of the different pastimes of Srila Bhaktivedanta Kesava Maharaj. But just with full heart, I offer my absolute full Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of this amazing personality, Srila Bhaktivedanta Kesava Maharaj, who is still today, we often say on this day, he reasons ill who tells that Vaishnavas die when thou art living still in sound. The Vaishnavas die to live, and in living try to spread the holy name around. This is the mood of all the predecessor Vaishnavas. So today in particular, as I've said many, many times on any Tirabhav or Abirbhav, when we have an opportunity to even offer a petal of a flower of Pushpanjali or even remember their names, a window will open from that transcendental realm and their creeper will undoubtedly come through. Undoubtedly today when we're remembering these personalities. So it's remarkable how Srila Bhaktivedanta Kesava Maharaj decided that on the first day of Kartik, he would leave this mortal world, heralding a great festival for his Tirabhav, at the same time as celebrating the commencement of our Kartik-vrata. So Srila Bhakti Prajnana Kesava Goswami Maharaj ki jai. God Prem. So now is the understanding that today heralds the Sarad Purnima. Sarad Purnima begins after the monsoon season, when the rains have ceased. Although here yesterday it rained a little bit today also. But generally, and it's raining in Delhi, I can see by Yashodhari's face, but generally the rains have concluded by now. And the lakes are very clear, like crystal. And Jamuna Devi also is very clear. And she's been through her flood spate, so to speak. So Bhagavatam gives us such detail of the backdrop of Vrindavan. It's so delectable, tasteful, and sweet meditation to appreciate the foliage, to appreciate the creepers, the flowers, the rivers, the birds, the creatures of Vrindavan. This is all part of the Udipan that Krishna was experiencing on this particular night of the Sharad Purnima, when Chandradev, moon, appeared. He appeared somewhat reddish, it's described. And Krishna is from the moon dynasty. And he's thinking that this moon is my relative. Well, I'm actually in his bumps. And he's seeing that Chandradev is decorating the face of the eastern horizon with kumkum. And Chandradev's wives are many stars. But actually the eastern horizon is not his wife. It's a consort. It's actually the wife of Lord Indra. And yet he's decorating her face with kumkum. So Krishna is thinking like this. He is my relative, and he's performing pastimes with a consort, with someone who's not his wife. So Krishna is meditating on the promises that he's made to the gopis, that one night they will also enjoy and consort with each other. This night, Sarad Purnima, is so significant. It's so special. The gopis, their prem for Krishna is eternal. And it had been blossoming. It had been growing, but it had never actually manifested. It never come out, so to speak, like a sprout. It hadn't actually exhibited, hadn't bloomed. And they had known Krishna since childhood, playing in the dust with Krishna. Then one day, of course, they suddenly realized what an attractive personality this was. And it described coming out of Balya Lila into Auganda Lila, and how they changed their whole mood towards Krishna of deep, deep anurag and attraction. But this was contained within their hearts, and it hadn't externalized. At the beautiful description of Kali-ghata, the Kaliya serpent, which we're going to hear tomorrow, this was actually the first time that the gopis even began a little bit to express their attraction through their eyes without so much shyness, without so much reserve towards Krishna. Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj describes this. Huh? Purvarag, yes, this Purvarag was beginning to blossom quite strongly there. And actually it was established at this pastime of Kali-ghata, which we're going to hear tomorrow again, that Radhika was that supreme personality that Krishna was most attracted to. Because Chandravali was being advised by Saiba and Padma the next day, quickly, you have to intercede here. Otherwise, you're going to miss your chance, and Krishna will be fully attached and connected with Radha. So all kinds of wonderful schemes were going on. So this is Sarad Purnima. And on this day, Krishna, he plays his flute in a particular mellifluous way, such a beautiful melody he's playing that only the gopis can hear. There are many ladies in Braj, but only the specific gopis, they are named within the sound vibration of Krishna's flute. And Krishna calls them all. He calls them and he encourages them to come to him in Vamsivat. He's there, Sarad, and he's calling them. And this sound vibration is saying to them, now you must come to me quickly, because I will give up my life unless you come quickly. He is calling them, pleading with them to save his life. So the gopis, as we've just described, were harboring this Purvarag for many, many years. This was growing and growing and growing and growing. But it was at the pinnacle, it was at the pitch of ready to just blossom, to manifest. And when they heard this call of the flute, indicating that they should now come to Vamsivat, all those gopis, they immediately, and there's many verses describing here, they immediately stopped all their activities, whatever they were doing, and just ran to the forest. This is for an Indian person, an Indian lady, to leave her family at night and go to the forest is unheard of, absolutely unheard of. This is not even considered. But these gopis, because this mood of shyness and morality had contained their Purvarag, but when they heard the sound of that flute, it just broke down those walls of fear of society, respectability, etc. And that fear, that flute, just melted those walls, and they ran to the forest to be with Krishna. And it's described that this flute sound was like a thief, had completely stolen their hearts and their minds, and they became vibram, they became bewildered about what they were actually doing. And some of them were dressing, and they put their clothing on in the wrong places. They put their eye makeup on in the wrong places. Everything was like completely disturbed and restless. And they just left whatever if they were cooking, if they were minding children, other children, if they were serving their husbands, their prasadam, if they were milking cows, whatever activity they were doing, they just completely left it and ran to the forest to meet Krishna. Understand this transcendental love that we are talking about. This is our goal, the Gopi Bhav, I just described this in relationship to performing our Sankalpa, that this gopi prem, it's not the prem that Krishna has for the gopis, it's the prem that the gopis have for Krishna. This is the speciality of this love. And when they ran, of course, their husbands tried to obstruct them, and their sons tried to obstruct them. But it's described that because Krishna is the supreme controller, even Yogamaya made it easy for these obstacles of their husbands or their sons, not their sons, their fathers, to clear that obstruction. And they very easily were able to go. But there were some gopis who couldn't go. So we should understand this a little bit. So there are 4 types of gopis. There's the Raja Rishi Chari gopis, there's the Shruti Chari gopis, and there's the Devi Kanya gopis and the Gopa Kanya. 4 types of gopis. And the Gopa Kanya gopis, born from gopis, they are all Nityasiddha gopis, perfectly perfected devotees, gopis. And the Rishi Charis and the Shruti Charis and the Devi Kanyas, they were sadhan, they were performing sadhan to get the association of the Nityasiddha gopis. So it's some of those gopis, some of those sadhana siddha gopis were obstructed. They could not break out loose from their houses. They were obstructed by their fathers or their husbands, etc. And some of these gopis even had children, so they would be obstructed by their sons. So it's described that they, because this anurag had reached such a pitch of intensity within their hearts that it practically couldn't be contained. And with the fire of that flame that Krishna was igniting, and they were contained within their rooms, they weren't allowed out, that these gopis, they burnt to ashes their subtle bodies. All of their material desires, their subtle desires, were completely incinerated. And in that condition, they were able to internally connect with Krishna, but physically they couldn't go out. On another night, it's described they were able to go out. But on this first night of Sarad Purnima is so special because this heralds the beginning of 12 months of Rasa Leela. The Rasa Leela continued 12 months every single night for 12 months. Without fail, this Rasa Leela was going on. And so Yogamaya, though, she arranges for all those other devotees to be able to go straight to Krishna and to replace those gopis with replicas. So the gopas were not disturbed by Krishna in any way. There was not a drop of envy or anything of this sort because Yogamaya completely covered that. This was the desire of Krishna. Now, all these gopis who were released from their homes and ran to the forest in a disordered dressed way, they all ran alone. Each of them ran alone, unknown to the others. And this is a very wonderful teaching for sadhaks. But ultimately, at the final issue, it's between our relationship with ourselves and Krishna and Guru. It's not a group. We don't go back to Godhead, so to speak, on a Boeing 707, whatever. We go just individually. Prabhupada talks about this actually in the first canto. He says, when you go back to the spiritual world, you're in a one-seater plane. There's only you. So the gopis had that mood and they ran to the forest, and it's described by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that the earrings on their ears were swinging. In other words, Krishna had stolen their complete treasure in their hearts but he hadn't stolen their external jewelry or bangles or anything of that nature. And Krishna arranged it like this, that they would come alone, because there are 5 groups, individual groups of gopis. So they also have to be reconciled at some point. There's 4 groups: Swapaksh, Vipaksh, Surit, and Tatashta. These 4 groups of gopis. And ultimately they have to be reconciled and collectively become a single voice, so to speak. And this happens through the pastime of the Ras Leela, when Radhika leaves and Krishna pacifies her, and all the other gopis, eventually they find her and they see the height of her separation mood, and then they all acknowledge Shri Radhika as the queen of Vrindavan. But now, in this pastime, right at the very beginning, on the first night of Sarad Purnima, they all come to Vamsivat, and Krishna welcomes them. Swagatam, Swagatam, tells them to sit down and everything, you know, he's really polite and so on. But then he tells them, now you've seen the beautiful wonders of the moonlight in Vrindavan, and this was a glorious night. The pink rays from the moon was just creating such a beautiful atmosphere in the forest. Magical. And now you've seen all this, now you should go back to your husbands and home. It's not correct for a young girl to be alone out in the night in the forest with a young man, a young boy. This is not correct. So Krishna, he speaks these harsh words, apparently. This is how the gopis are experiencing, telling them to go home. The gopis have given their complete everything, every fiber of their existence. They've left their chastity, they've left their reputation, they've left their morals, they've left everything. Their families, their home, nothing, they have nothing. And they've come to surrender to Krishna. And now Krishna is telling them to go home. So the gopis are mortified. And it's described how they begin scratching the earth with their toes, signifying their distraught mentality, their nature. But then the gopis, very beautifully, there's 10 verses. This is chapter 29 we're talking about. This is called Pranaya Geet. There are 5 Geets in the Bhagavatam. The first is Venu Geet, then Pranaya Geet, then Gopi Geet, then Yugal Geet, then Brahmara Geet. These 5 Geets are there. Geet means a song of separation. So then the gopis begin their Pranaya Geet. It's from verse 31 to verse 41. And they counter Krishna's arguments, saying that, yes, we agree with you that one should offer all respect to his worshipable husband. But actually, in essence, you are our husband because you are our guru. We have come to you to surrender everything to you. So they are speaking like this to Krishna. This is a speciality of this Pranaya Geet, that the gopis are feeling great separation. At the same time, Krishna is in front of them. So it's like meeting and separation simultaneously. It's Venu Geet is different. Venu Geet is when Krishna's in the pasturing grounds. And Yugal Geet is also when Krishna's in the pasturing grounds. And Gopi Geet is when Krishna's not there also. But here, Krishna is directly in front of them. So, and they're offering these solicitations to Krishna to please accept them as his maidservants. And it's very interesting, the descriptions by the acharyas, because in this intensity of their separation, they are able to perceive the Lord as that supreme personality of Godhead, simultaneously to seeing him as Brajendranandan Shyam Sundar. It's only in this particular case. In Gopi Geet also there's a verse. What's that? What's that in Gopi Geet? Nakala Kalpike. That 4th verse of Gopi Geet. Huh? No. Before. Huh? Nakala Gopika. Yes, this Nakala Gopi. This is the first and they are also referring to Krishna as being the supreme personality of Godhead. And they're seeing him like that. At the same time, they're understanding he's our beloved Saka. He's our beloved friend. He's our dearmost cowherd friend in the village of Vrindavana, their village relationship. They've grown up with Krishna. He can't be God. They know everything about Krishna. They know his thieving of butter, etc., in his infant years, in his Balya Leela. They know all of his crookedness, his stealing, and so many things. So they can't place him on that level. This is the beauty of Braja Prem. The beauty of Braja Prem is the attraction that the gopis have directly for Krishna, and Krishna is bound by that attraction. It's this attraction by the gopis that Krishna loves the gopis because of their attraction for him. Krishna has been inspired by their love has controlled him. It's their love that Krishna has become attracted to. So this Pranaya Geet on this night of Sarad Purnima is the most divine meditation for the sadhaks on this path of that Mahaprabhu has directly come to give us in this age. There's no other time in the day of Lord Brahma when these types of topics can be spoken freely. Prior to Mahaprabhu, these topics were basically not even on the map. No one described the topics of Vrindavan, of Braja Prem. Harakiya Ras wasn't even accepted just a few hundred years ago in Jaipur. The king of Jaipur had to request Baladev Vidyabhushan to come and write his Govinda Bhasya to allow Radhika to stand next to Govindadev in Jaipur. So this is a very confidential topic of this Parakiya Ras and has to be deeply, deeply appreciated by the sadhaks on this path because it goes against all morality of this world. But morality of this world is also material. When it comes down to Krishna's desires, it's like in the very end on the 33rd chapter of the Rasa Panchadya, Parikshit Maharaj is asking this question: how could Krishna perform such audacious acts as to dance with other men's wives? And Shukadev, he replies, Krishna is like fire, always pure. You can put anything impure, you can put a dead body in a fire, the fire doesn't become contaminated. So in the same way, Krishna cannot be contaminated by any apparent material morality. So to coming from a conditioned state to understanding this, we can only do it with the mercy of the Lord, with the mercy of Sri Guru, only in this way, and the mercy of Sri Nam. Mahaprabhu has not only given us the direction in which to pursue our sadhana, the sadhya, but he's given the abhideya, the practice of this Harinam, to access these truths in an experiential way. These aren't truths that we just read in the scriptures. If we're still thinking that these are just words that are written in the Bhagavatam and we haven't tasted any speciality through our practice of our bhajan in this birth so far. But we should understand that this can be directly experienced through the mercy of Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu is manifested to give this Unnata Ujjvala Prem Seva, not the Ujjvala Prem itself. That Unnata Ujjvala Prem itself is being experienced between Radha and Krishna. For the sadhak, the seva to this Unnata Ujjvala Prem is what he has been benedicted with, which ultimately our Guru Varga has explained is Manjari Bhav, service to Sri Radhika. So this is our hope for this Kartik Vrat, that we will understand more of these topics, hear more, and glean the mercy to realize something of these topics within our lives. So this is very much our desire in Kartik, in this month of Kartik. And it starts with this Sarad Purnima, on such a high level, we're introduced to all these topics of the gopis running to Krishna, being mortified when Krishna is sending them home, and then they're defeating Krishna in their exchange. And then Krishna arranges the Rasa Leela to begin. And then the Rasa Leela begins in this 29th chapter. On this very night is the first night of the Rasa Leela. And Krishna is dancing energetically, and he's not expanding himself, but he's moving so fast amongst all the gopis. My Gurudeva has described like a firebrand. When you spin it around, it looks like it's a whole circle, but it's actually coming from one light. So our Guru Bhargava described like this, that Krishna is moving at lightning speed to stand between each gopi. And each gopi is thinking that Krishna is only dancing with me. And the gopis, they brought flags, festoons, etc. Vrindadevi supplies all the necessities to perform this incredible Rasa Leela pastime. And it's described that the musical instruments personified, they all manifest to support this remarkable dancing epic that Krishna is demonstrating to the world. This Rasa Leela is the crest jewel of all Krishna's pastimes. Krishna performs this pastime to attract the jivas. Anugrahaya bhaktana manusyam deha ashrita bhajate tat rishi kritvam yashrutva tat pravo bhavet. That by this pastime, Krishna is demonstrating the beauty and speciality and sweetness of spiritual seva with the Lord. So this Rasa Leela is a tremendously packed pastime. And as I say, Vrindadevi, she manifests all the personified instruments. But above all the sounds of the instruments are the heart voices of the gopis singing loudly. And Krishna is also singing loudly. So this is the most spectacular of all the pastimes. And then, of course, it moves forward. Everything has to be moving. Nothing is static. So that movement comes with Sri Radhika leaving the Rasa Leela, because all the gopis are thinking how fortunate they are having Krishna fix their belts, etc., wipe the sweat from their brows when they're dancing. And actually, I forgot to tell, when they first arrived, such an intimate exchange, when their dresses were all disarrayed, and Krishna was walking around to each of the gopis. And remember, there are millions. Actually, in one place, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says billions. 300 billion, he says at one point. We cannot conceive. It's inconceivable, achintya, beyond the material senses. But Krishna was going to each particular gopi and rearranging their dresses, putting their earrings on correctly, adding their extra mascara to their eye, arranging their, some of them had put their skirts on their tops and their tops on their, covering their legs. And Krishna was arranging all of this, and the gopis felt so much intimacy by that exchange that Krishna was performing, dressing them like this. So Krishna had melted them. But this was when they first arrived, and then he tells them to go home. And the gopis are thinking that would be like vantasi. That would be like a sannyasi going back into family life again, eating the vomit that had come. So the gopis were of that mood. They could not go back to Vrindavan. And then they defeat Krishna with their brilliant work. The gopis are so brilliant. The gopis are more brilliant than Krishna. And they defeat Krishna, and with their prem, it's their prem that defeats Krishna. This is what Krishna wanted to see. He wanted to experience that prem of the gopis at its pitch. So when they were pushed into desperation, so to speak, thinking of the prospect of having to go back to their families without satisfying their desire to dance with Krishna, they wanted to dance with Krishna because they knew this was his desire. They wanted to pacify Krishna's calm. The gopis are made of only one mood, and that's the same mood as Radhika. that they all want to pacify Krishna's calm. So, and then, as I described, Krishna accepts them, and then the Rasa Leela begins. So this is just some hints, really, because time is always restricted in our presentations here. If we had 1 or 2 days to open this out further and further, we could go into more details. But this particular time, we're celebrating the beginning of Kartik-vrata. We're celebrating the Turabhav of Srila Bhakti Brigade Kesava Goswami Maharaj, and we're celebrating particularly this Sarad Purnima today, which is the most special of all the Purnimas, because as I say, it heralds the beginning of the Rasa Leela for the next 12 months. So the next 12 months, all of these pastimes, evening, night, and pastimes will be performed between Krishna and the gopis every single night. So this is very wonderful pastimes to consider and to dive into, because we have the passport from our beloved Gurudeva. The Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, he's spoken so extensively on these topics to introduce us fearlessly to these topics. And we should take advantage of that connection that we've made with Srila Gurudeva through his beloved Gurudeva, Srila Bhakti Brigade Kesava Maharaj, and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, and Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. These personalities, a culmination of these personalities, is what we are receiving through Guru. Guru is the repository of all our Guru Varga. So whatever has gone previously is manifesting through Guru. So we're so fortunate today. So I don't know how much more time I have.
Maharaj, you have about 8 minutes.
It's okay.
So the gopis, when they were leaving, they were thinking there's no way back.
Yeah.
They were not thinking, oh, we are the gopis of Bride.
No return ticket.
But Yogamaya arranged replica.
Yes.
So they could go back.
Yes.
Because nobody knew that they left. Right?
Right.
That's the proper
Yes.
understanding?
Yes. Yes. Correct. So the gopis, Sridharvati Maharaj is commenting that the gopis, they went with no return ticket. Like the Dvijapatnis also. They also ran to the forest, leaving their husbands behind, thinking that we're going forever. We're not coming back. But Krishna arranged to continue these pastimes. This is Prakat Leela in Burmandal, in this world, earthly pastimes. In Aprakat Leela, these Leelas are all conceptual. Just the Astakali Leela is manifesting daily, these eightfold pastimes of the day, from Nishanta Leela through to Ratri Leela, etc. All these pastimes. But in Prakat Leela, then there's the whole intrigue that goes along with this, these pastimes to heighten in every way the speciality of the praying, to show us just how determined the gopis were. In Parakiya Ras, that means unwedded love, unlawful, unmoral. Everything society is against it. How much opposition is there in their family life to achieve every night running to the forest? So many obstacles. So how much enthusiasm is needed every single day? And how many obstacles seem to come that they have to surmount in order to come to Krishna, to demonstrate to us the intensity of their utter enthusiasm. Utter enthusiasm for what? Because they could appreciate how much Krishna was loving them. This feeling that Krishna was giving them is what they were experiencing. How divine that was. We also hear even the cowherd boys. When the cowherd boys are relating with Krishna, even if Krishna kills Bakasura or Agasura or Pralambasura, it doesn't for a moment impede their natural affection for Krishna, because he becomes the hero. It doesn't make it more affection for Krishna. And they know that Krishna has so much intense affection for them. So this intensity of absolute enthusiastic love, and this is what's needed for the sadhak, for the sadhak to cross out of this material world into that spiritual dimension, into that transcendental world, nothing less than ekantika, this one focus, attention must be there. And we get this opportunity every single Kartik Vrat. The atmosphere in Braj, in particular, is surcharged. Just this morning, such a massive crowd on the parikrama trail. Everyone here in Bharatvash knows it's the beginning of Kartik. It's the beginning of Urja Vrat. It's the beginning of Damodarastikam. Everyone knows that. So those thoughts, those holy, special thoughts, they produce such an auspicious atmosphere for the devotee to catch this utsaha. What's that? Krishna Bhakti Rasabhavitamati Kriyatam Vidita Labhite Tatra Lolyam Api Mulyam Ekalam. Without that lolyam, without that greed that we see in the activities of the gopis themselves, because they're performing parakiya ras. In Swakiya, they have nothing to be greedy about. They know Krishna's coming home and they just prepare the meals for every, it's the intensity is down. Like it only reaches a stage called anurag. But the gopis' praying comes to Mahabhav or Rag, Mahabhav, and then even amongst the most qualified, Rudhabhav. Only Radha experiences this Adi Rudhabhav. So this intensity, So the queens of Dwarka, that's called Samanjasarati. And the gopis' praying is called Samartarati, which controls Krishna. All these things that I'm just saying are to give hints for the devotees to consider, how we can open more and more the consciousness to hearing these topics of Braja Prem and the gopis in particular, because it's these topics of the gopis that are going to carry us to the spiritual connection, ultimately, in service to Brajendrananda and Shyam Sundar, coming through our Guru Parampara and their mercy that they will give us. So I'll conclude here. Otherwise I might start rambling.
Maharaj, I just have one question before you conclude. So you spoke that the Sadhan Siddha gopis were the ones that went to Parikrama Ras, but you also mentioned that the Nitya Siddha gopis also went to...
Some of those Sadhan Siddha gopis had purified themselves by their association with the Nitya Siddhas and were able to go to the Ras Leela. But some of those Sadhan Siddha gopis, the Rishicharis or the Shruticharis or the Devi Kanyas, some of them could not go. But it might be misunderstood because it says they left their bodies, but nobody left their body. That would be very inauspicious at the beginning of Ras Leela for a gopi to leave her body literally. They left their subtle bodies. They purified their subtle existence to qualify them for future nights to actually go to the forest.
So Maharaj, when because I also heard this, that when you do sadhan, you get to a stage of bhakti or prem, then you get the body in a prakat lila, but also there you have, so the subtle body still exists in a prakat lila.
No,
or not?
No, not in
When you
prakat.
sadhan.
In aprakat lila, the subtle body is incinerated. There's no subtle. We even see in many instances in the Bhagavatam, Prithu Maharaj, etc., incinerated his subtle body. But the gopis, the Sadhan Siddhas, they completely purified that subtle body because they had invited Krishna fully into their hearts. And that was sufficient to actually purify any last trace of material contamination, we can say. Not that they were contaminated, but they purified their existence entirely.
And
so
that's
then they associated with the Nitya Siddhas, and then after that, they were qualified for aprakat.
Okay. So Maharaj, that's all happening here in this
Yes, in Prakat Leela. This is all in Prakat Leela. This is taking place in Prakat Leela. In Aprakat Leela, then these pastimes are not taking place in the same way like this. In the Prakat Leela, this is the speciality. Prakat Leela has so many specialities because there's a reality to them having a husband. In Aprakat Leela, they don't actually have husbands. They just have conceptions of having husbands. So there's a Vaishishtya, a great speciality. And this is an eternal, these are eternal pastimes because Krishna is always going from planet to planet to planet to planet, taking the entire, like we were talking the other day about the Damodar Astakam. It's described by Srila Bhakti Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj. It's an eternal Astakam because it's eternally being sung, especially during Kartik, because it has such movement between the verses. It escalates entirely. Oh, Vipinji. Okay, you're here. So Vipinji, you're going to glorify Srila Bhakti Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj, principally?
I can try.
Or you can carry on with Sarad Purnima. I'm sure you know, there's so many nuances and specialities about Sarad, but both of these topics, whatever your heart dictates. But I'll jump off now. So, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhuvevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Sarad Purnima ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai.
Thank you, Maharaj, for taking time to explain this particular Sarad Purnima. It's really important for us as sadhaks to understand what that means and entails for us. So thank you, Maharaj, for taking time to run us through that in a very simple way, actually.
Brief way, very brief way. There are many chapters there describing this.
Yeah, it's enough for me at the moment, at least. So thank you, Maharaj. Next we'll have Vipin Prabhu, Shriman Vipin Prabhu, Bihari Prabhu speaking on Param Gurudev. Vipin Prabhu, as a request, if you could speak slower than usual, that would be fantastic so that everyone can pick up. Thank you, Haribo.
Guru Gaurachandraya Shri Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishnabhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo. First of all, I offer my humble obeisances unto the divine lotus feet of my most worshipable spiritual master, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Ashtotra Shakti Shri Srimad Bhakti Shri Narayana Goswami Guru Maharaj, and then unto the divine lotus feet of Abhinna Guru Pad Padma, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Ashtotra Shri Srimad Bhakti Shri Bhakti Goswami Maharaj. And then I offer my humble obeisances unto the divine lotus feet of Param Gurudeva, whose disappearance day we are celebrating today, and the entire Rupanuguru Parampara. May they shower their blessings upon me, because Param Gurudev is not an easy personality to understand for someone like me who is
Vipin Prabhu,
Yeah.
can you just, we're not be able to hear you properly. It's a bit muffled. Maybe bring the piece next.
Is
Can
this
you
better?
try? Yeah, that's better.
Okay. So I was not lined up to speak today. So I'm a, what you call a makeshift, accidental speaker. So, but just to purify myself, I'll say certain things which I've heard from Srila Gurudev about Param Gurudev over the years. Srila Gurudev in his many lectures which he has given over the years, he would often say that it's a very rare combination to have a personality like Param Gurudev. Someone who is very darshanik, very philosophical, and at the same time, he's very rasik. Srila Gurudev said many philosophers, they're very dry-hearted. the philosophers of this material world, they're very, very dry-hearted. Their hearts are not soft. But these particular combination of Param Gurudev, that he was the greatest of philosophers. If you read his books, one would understand. And then when it comes to his writings like Sri Radha Vinod Bihari Tatvashtakam, his Mangala Arati, his Tulsi Arati, which we sing every day. So when I was hearing Srila Gurudev's lectures, I realized one thing, that without having an absorption in one's Ishtadev, glorification cannot be fully sung. Glorification of anything fully takes place when there is some level of tanmata, some level of mindness. Since Srila Gurudev has so much of mindness towards Param Gurudev, he was explaining the journey of Param Gurudev starting from his childhood. And even while he was describing his journey of childhood, since he has absorption in what he is speaking, it felt like that Gurudev was actually painting the sketch. So the leelas which he is mentioning, one feels like that one is able to see that within one's own, within one's eyes, front of one's eyes. Many aspects of Param Gurudev's life. First, before he came to Srila Prabhupada, then after he came to Srila Prabhupada, then after the disappearance of Srila Prabhupada, and then his relationship with Srila Gurudev. So I'll touch upon some of these things. His life before coming to Srila Prabhupada came from a very, very illustrious family. His family were Vaishnavas. And even in their lineage, everyone was a Vaishnava. There was a very famous yogi at that time, Sri Vijay Krishna Goswami. His mother and father, they were initiated by him. So from childhood, there were some many transcendental events which took place in his life. One of the events which is very, very instructional and which kind of gave an idea of what Param Gurudev would do in the future. Srila Gurudev mentions this, and I'm sure most of us know this. His mother would give him some money, and all of the other friends of his also would receive some money for breakfast and other things. But Param Gurudev would save that money, and he would not use it for eating here and there. One time, and Param Gurudev is around 10 years old at this time. So he arrived very late at home. It was around 9 p.m. in the night. And his mother was very, very angry, holding a stick in the hand, wanted to, chastise him. But why have you come late? So when he arrived, his mother said, "Why have you come late?" She was about to beat him. And then he said, "I would like to share something with you. I have not revealed this to you before. That the money which I get from you, just to, eat, I do not use that money for the same purpose. Me and my friends have made a small group. And this small group's purpose is to go and find who is in need. If someone is suffering from some disease and there's no one to take care of those, we go and we help those people." Today, there was one Mataji who was suffering from a particular disease, and she had no money. She had no one to take care of her. So me and my friends went over there, and it took us time to give her the medication and everything. That's the reason I'm late. So Param Gurudev's mother, who had so much of affection for her, because he was amongst the 4 children she had, Param Gurudev's elder brother who was in charge of Sri Bagh Bazar Gaudiya Math. And then the second number, it was Param Gurudev. But out of those four, she had more affection for him. And lovingly, they would also call him Bhim because he was very strong, like Bhim. And Param Gurudev is very, very effulgent. As a child, he was very beautiful. So they would call him Jyotsna. Jyotsna means ray, or you can call it ray of sun. So when Gurudev is mentioning these things, the mamata which is coming out, the affection which Gurudev has received from Param Gurudev, one can hear these from anybody else also, but would not have the same impact. So though I am repeating what Gurudev is saying, and I know that the impact cannot be the same. Because Gurudev, when he was staying at Sri Keshavji Gaudiya Math, Param Gurudev once asked him that I would like to give you red cloth. Then Gurudev said, you give me red cloth, you give me white cloth, or whatever you want to do with me, I'm yours. The affection which I had for my family, the affection which I had for my father, the affection which I had for my mother, and for all of my family members, and anything else, whatever I possessed, I have taken mamata, or the affection from all those things. And he repeated a verse from Sri Ramcharitamanas, Sapte mamata tag batori, that I've taken the affection from all those things and have made a rope or a thread, and I've tied it around your feet. So I belong to you now. Whatever you do with me, I will accept it. Why Param Gurudev was able to possess this sort of mood? Why Gurudev was able to possess this sort of mood? Because Param Gurudev had a similar mood too with Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. This is a similar mood Srila Param Gurudev had. Param Gurudev came to the mutt. He was studying in college. And while he was studying in college, at that time, the professors were teaching Chaitanya Charitamrita. It was in curriculum. When this payar came, Jivare Sarupa Hoy Krishna Nityadas, Param Gurudev heard that they are giving a concocted version, a concocted philosophy. And he was a very, very bold preacher, Gurudev would often say. That's why they gave him the title, Acharya Kesari. Kesari means lion. He was Acharya Kesari. So even at that age, he started having debates with his professors in college. He said this is not the meaning that Jiva would become one with Brahma. This is one of the highlights of his service. One of the highlights of Param Gurudev's service is his one pointed stand. As Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur Prabhupada would say, no cooperation with the Mayavadis. No cooperation with those who speak up Siddhanta. Srila Prabhupada would say that even if the whole world goes against me and I am left alone, until my last breath, I'll only speak the truth. So Param Gurudev, when he was in college, he started having debates. So he realized these professors, they cannot teach him anything. He decided to give up everything, came to Srila Prabhupada. But then Prabhupada sent him home for 2 years. And then Param Gurudev came back and joined the mutt full time. We all know the pastime, right? When his mother was not well. And Srila Prabhupada said, you go and take care of your mother for some time because she is just about to leave. It is the duty of the son to be with the mother. Param Gurudev did not want to go. So he hid himself somewhere in the mutt. Prabhupada ji saw him and he said, Vinod Brahmachari, didn't you go to see your mother? He said, no. He said, why? He said that if I go to my home, If my mother wishes that I take care of the because they were landlords, I would not be able to say no. But then I remember the payar from Chaitanya Charitamrita that each and every life I have mother and father. Everyone has mother and father, right? So each and every life I get mother and father, but in each and every life I do not get a guru like you. I do not get a guru like you. Param Gurudev had such staunch faith in Srila Prabhupada that in his Shochak, in his prayers, in his glorification, it is mentioned, Mukhe Prabhupada, Shire Prabhupada, that he would not speak anything which is not in line with Shri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He would not even think about anything. He would not even think about anything which is not in line with Srila Prabhupada. So his whole life, if you see one side of his life, which is extremely, extremely valuable for us, is his Guru Nishtha. And Guru Nishtha is not something which comes so easily. And Param Gurudev is mentioning that in various lectures of his, that jivas are suffering from a disease called Sandehavad. Sandehavad means doubt. Outside, they may say that Guru is not different from Bhagavan. They may even glorify Shri Guru, but inside there is some reservation. There's some doubt, there's some reservation is there. Like full faith, full conviction is not there that Shri Guru is the counterpart. He's being sent from Shri Golok Vrindavan for me. He's being sent to save me. Like Param Gurudev would often say, right? That when Krishna came, I was here, but Krishna did not deliver me. When Sriman Mahaprabhu came, I was here, but Mahaprabhu did not deliver me. When previous acharyas, they came, they did not deliver me. But Srila Prabhupada came and he pulled me out of the material world. So through Guru, we know the entire parampara. Sri Gurudev was saying that nowadays it's a thing that I listen to my Gurudev, but I will not pay pranams to the rest of the Guru parampara. My Guru is everything. I do not have anything to do with the Guru parampara. But Gurudev said, if you know your Guru and if he is authorized, you're bound to become utterly grateful for the entire Guru parampara because they are connected. Sri Gurudev said, if there's a garland, and if you take one flower out, the garland becomes useless. Similarly, I'll only worship my Guru, but I will not worship Guru Parampara. It is like all of one's worship and puja, it becomes useless. It has no value. So, Param Gurudev's life was all about Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur Prabhupada ji. And externally, it would seem like that he was a youngster running here and there, doing court cases, collecting taxes from Muslims, riding on horse. So many thought that he is just, a young man who has so much of energy, but he does not have any entrance in the scriptures. He's a young man who is very, very laborious. He works very hard, but he does not have the same entrance in the scriptures. So one time what happened, Param Gurudev was sitting in his room and he was going through Tattva Sandarbha of Shri Jiva Goswami. One of his godbrothers came to him and said, "Oh, are you just reading this, or you have any understanding? Vinoda, are you just reading this, or do you even understand something?" Param Gurudev first did not answer. Then again, he was questioned, "Do you understand what is being written? Because Tattva Sandarbha is not for ordinary people." Then Param Gurudev said, "Take the book, ask me whatever you want to. Ask me whatever you want to." And whatever question was asked to Param Gurudev, he was able to reply. Because knowledge is one thing, but through serving, all the moods of Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada came in his heart that he was actually able to write a book called Vaishnav Vijay. Mayavad Ki Jeevani. It is such a powerful literature, and he is describing that how this desire to defeat Mayavad came in his heart so strongly, because when he first came to the Math, and every time he would hear from Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada would always mention, till the time impersonalism is there on the planet, Shuddha Bhakti cannot be preached. Shuddha Bhakti cannot be preached. Bhagavad Bhakti, the biggest obstacle on the path of devotion is impersonalism, voidism, in various different forms, shapes, and sizes. Up-Siddhanta is here. And in 1960s, Param Gurudeva is writing it, that nowadays the education system is declining and people are following concocted philosophies. And after hearing from Srila Prabhupada every day, one thing which is coming in my heart so strongly, that I must fulfill the desire of Srila Prabhupada. And what is his desire? That he wants to have a book, he wants to have a literature which summarizes or which draws parallels between all the other concocted or Avedic philosophies versus Shuddha Vaishnavism, versus pure Vaishnavism. Param Gurudev said, I started working on it. So he said, when Srila Prabhupada was here, I started writing these articles, which never got published. Later on, they found it again and published it. He said, I was in a college called Ravenshaw College in Cuttack. And in the college, I spoke against Mayavad, against impersonalism. And after speaking over there, I established that out of the 6 philosophies which are prevalent, the philosophy of Vedanta, many commentators have done their commentary, starting from Sri Shankaracharya Pad and many, many others. But Lord is impersonal. Lord does not have any Shakti. Lord does not have any qualities, not even a single word. Impersonalism, formless, is not there in Vedanta Sutra. Sri Shankaracharya ji forced these words in Vedanta Sutra. It is forced. He brought all those words in Vedanta Sutra. And then he said that while I was doing research on all these things, I also ended up, he said, I collected 12 major commentaries. How did he collected those commentaries? I don't know. During those times when things were not even available. He said, I collected those 12 commentaries of Mayavad. I studied those. On one hand, Mahaprabhuji is saying, don't study Mayavad. And on the other hand, Param Gurudev is not studying Mayavad, he's studying all the commentaries of Mayavad. It's quite contradictory. We are being told not to study Mayavad, don't touch. Within 10 days, you'll think Krishna is impersonal if you don't have an experience of bhakti. But Param Gurudev is not only studying all the 12 commentaries, he went to Bodh Gaya, the appearance place of Bhagavan Buddha, and there he saw that all the temples of Bhagavan Buddha are being taken care by the Shankaracharya Sampradaya. So he asked those Shankaracharya Sampradaya, what are you doing here? These temples belong to Bhagavan Buddha. He was very bold. In their own monastery, he was saying, how come these temples belong to you? They said, so then Param Gurudev said, it looks like the Shankaracharya was also a Buddha. Those acharyas, the Shankaracharya Sampradaya said, no, how come you're saying Shankaracharya is Buddha? Buddha is saying that Vedas don't exist. And Shankaracharya is presenting his philosophy based on Vedas. How come you're saying this? So they were having debate, and during that time, Param Gurudev came across a book. He said, I came across a book in which there were evidences that Shankaracharya is connected with Buddha. Shankaracharya is connected with Buddha. And at that particular time, he wrote all the evidences and he put it down in this particular book, starting from who was the first Mayavadi. He said the first Mayavadi was in Satyuga. The second Mayavadi was Ravan. Ravan was also a Mayavadi. Ravan would go to a particular mountain and he would have discussions on Mayavad. The third, so he's saying that from Satyug, Treta, Dwapar, Mayavad existed. So Param Gurudev, if anyone has a chance to read Vaishnav Vijay, many a times what happens is, and Gurudev was saying, without understanding the effort what it has gone through to be able to present what Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya is right now, the appreciation does not come. In a very easy manner, things are presented to us. But the effort which they had to put, so that was one contribution of his. Then his relationship with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur Prabhupada, which I want to highlight. Coming from the family of a landlord, used to ride on an elephant during that time. Very, very rich. Came to Srila Prabhupada, gave up everything. And when he gave up everything, came to Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada said, you have to do bhiksha. A box of donation was being put around his neck. You go and beg door to door. Unimaginable. He would go from door to door, and it was Prabhupada's instruction that you only take 1 paisa, 1/100th of a rupee from each house, from each person. In the first couple of months or something, he would come back to the mutt in the afternoon to take prasad. But later he stopped coming. Srila Prabhupada would see that Vinod Brahmachari is not coming to the mutt anymore in the afternoon. Where does he eat? And Param Gurudev was told by the disciples, his godbrothers, that Srila Prabhupada was asking for you, that you don't come in the afternoon anymore to take prasad. He said, just tell him that I come, right? Prabhupada was going by car. He saw Param Gurudev resting under a tree. Extremely hot season. Under a tree with his back lying, facing towards the tree, and he was resting. Srila Prabhupada saw that a personality like him, who was being so loved by his family members, such a young boy with such soft body, he's lying on the ground for me, begging for my mission from door to door. So he had tears in his eyes, but Prabhupada did not stop the car there. Later on, when Param Gurudev came to the mutt, Srila Prabhupada asked him, Vinoda, do you come for prasad in the afternoon? He said, I used to, but not anymore. He said, why? He said, I eat in the morning, it's enough. I'm a young boy, eat in the morning, it's enough. Then Srila Prabhupada said, tell me the truth. He said, Prabhupada, it costs me some money to come back in the afternoon and then go back again in the evening. It cost me some money to come back in the afternoon and go back in the evening. So I want to save some money. Do not want to waste money. I want to utilize it fully. Someone who was saving money, very little money to come back, when he himself was running Devanand Gaudiya Mutt and he would go on a boat, Srila Gurudev said that whatever the boatman would ask, Param Gurudev would put hand in his pocket and would just give it like this. Someone who was saving little money, but when he was running Devanand Gaudiya Mutt, he would put his hand in the pocket and would just give it like this. So the various versions which we see of the same personality, Shri Guru is one, but can be seen from various different perspectives. Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Pad is saying that after prema, the stage which is sneha, the first is sneha. In sneha, what happens is that the living entity sees the relationship, the living entity sees very special features of Krishna, which is very unique. Each living entity has a relationship. So that feature is very, very unique. So similarly, in one life of Param Gurudev, when I was going through, I realized there's so many different aspects. Another instance, and Srila Gurudev mentions this very lovingly. because Gurudev is part of this. Gurudev said that I was with the Sri Narsingh Maharaj. We were preaching in Bengal. And during that time, during our preaching, we received 500 rupees in preaching for a couple of months. Gurudev said it's a very big thing. Maximum, if someone gives 1 rupee, 2 rupee, fine. If somebody gives 5 rupees, Gurudev says, oh, it's like winning a kingdom, as if we have become a king. If someone gives 5 rupees, Gurudev said, as if we have, it's a lottery, it's a jackpot for us. So after a couple of months, we came back to the mutt, and Param Gurudev said, how much money you collected? I said 500 rupees. Param Gurudev was very happy. The money was given to Param Gurudev. When Param Gurudev counted it, and Shri Gurudev said he never asked for money. He never asked how much you're spending. But when every time we would come back from collection, he would ask us how much. Not that he wants it, but he wants to know why, because I'll tell you the reason. He said 500 rupees. But when Param Gurudev collected, it was some rupees short. Then Param Gurudev asked Gurudev that you said 500, but it is less. Param Gurudev said, I don't know. It's with Sri Narsingh Maharaj. He said, call him. So Sri Narsingh Maharaj, he was called. He said, how much money did you collected? Oh, he said 500. But he said, but this is less. Where is the rest of the money? Oh, he said, I've kept it because I need it for preaching, to travel. So I've kept it with me because I need it in the future. Param Gurudev said, bring it now immediately. He became very angry, brought the money and gave it to Param Gurudev. And Param Gurudev's posture in the mutt was very unique. If anyone would see Param Gurudev sitting on a chair with a table in front, reclining and moving his feet back and forth, if someone comes to the mutt, so Bhakti Sridhar Maharaj, he says this, when first I came to the mutt, I saw, because first time I came to Mayapur, in Chaitanya Mutt, what I saw, that Param Gurudev was sitting in white cloth, sitting on a chair with a table right in front of him, legs on top of it. In the mutt, if someone sits like this, it would be a big shock. Big shock. And not only that, he's thinking, sitting under this big coconut tree, and everybody is coming and paying pranams to him. Everybody is coming and paying pranams to him. A white cloth brahmachari coming, paying pranams to him. A red cloth brahmachari paying pranam to him. Even sannyasis are paying pranams to him. So Shri Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj asked someone, who is he? He himself seems to be a white cloth brahmachari. Who is he? He said, oh, he's Vinoda. He's a heart and soul of Shri Bhakti Siddhanta. There are only 2 personalities who got the opportunity to have a very, very intimate relationship with Shri Bhakti Siddhanta. One was Shri Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj ji, and second is our Param Gurudev. In Hindi, in English, they say you, like for elder and for younger, we say you. But in Hindi, they say for elder, they say aap, and in Hindi, they say tu. Tu means very intimate. He said tui. Tui word is used only for these 2 personalities, one for Param Gurudev and the other one for Shri Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj ji. So Param Gurudev was sitting, and Sri Narsingh Maharaj was very, very angry. He said, okay, take the money. You want the whole money? I gave it to you. Param Gurudev looked at the money and gave it back to him. Sri Narsingh Maharaj became more angry. He said, why did you ask me to bring the money when you're not going to keep it? He said, you don't know. When you go and collect money, it has poison. It is poison of the material people. If you're just going to keep it with you, bhakti will go away. That is why I'm asking you to bring it to me. Whatever you get, offer it to me first. Then I will give it back to you. I don't need your money. I want that you need money. I know that you need money for traveling. But you offer whatever you get, whether you get praises, whether you get riches, accolades, criticism, whatever you get, please bring to me. I have purified this. Param Gurudev used a word. He said, just like in a fire sacrifice, you put everything and everything is purified. Similarly, if someone gives you money, someone gives you praise, someone gives you accolades, please tell me so that I can purify you. This is one thing which he mentioned. And I know time is less. I'm just going to speak one point about his Vinod Bihari Tattvashtakam, because that is also connected with today's Ras Leela. Shriman Shukdev Goswami Pad, he starts off Ras Leela. Bhagavan episode. This is one, there is Darshanik, the philosophical side of Param Gurudev, where he presented Vedanta. Then his Rasik side, it is so extraordinary. If you read the commentary on Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Tattvashtakam from Param Gurudev's biography, you'll become utterly astonished. You will become absolutely astonished by the fact that his oneness with his oneness with Srila Prabhupada, that when Srila Prabhupada would also, many times the face of Srila Prabhupada would also become very animated, very red, remembering Srimati Radhika. So the similar moods are also mentioned in Sri Radha Vinod Bihari Tattvashtakam. Shriman Shukdev Goswami, he starts off Ras Leela. Bhagavan Pita Ratri Sharad Utfull Mallika Viksharantu Manashakre Yoga Maya Upashita. In Bhagavatam, at two places, the beginning of any Leela, the word Bhagavan is used. One is Sri Govardhan Leela, and second is Sri Ras Leela. Because Kaliyadaman Leela and Sri Ras Leela both are Puštikarak, they are nourishing Sri Ras Leela. So before Ras Krishna performed these two pastimes, as Maharaji was mentioning, that Srimati Radhika, she disappeared from Ras and Krishna was searching. When Sri Radhika disappears, though there are 1 billion gopis, some say 3 billion gopis, Ras is not taking place anymore and Krishna is searching for Sri Radhika. While Krishna is searching for Sri Radhika in Braja, the place of Imlitala, where he arrives, that is where Param Gurudev is mentioning, while searching for her, he sits over there, and Srimad Sridhar Swami Pad is saying that the reason Srimati Radhika disappears is because Krishna wants to establish the supremacy of hers. So when Srimati Radhika, she sits, Krishna, he sits at Imlitala, he is remembering Srimati Radhika, and Param Gurudev is writing this in connection with today, that without Srimati Radhika, there is no Ras. Anaradhitam nunam bhagavan ririshvara yanno vihaya govindam pritayaman yatraha. Though it seems like that Srimati Radhika is crying for Krishna in Ras Leela, and she's saying, oh, he has left me when all the gopis meet. But actually, Sriman Vishwanath Chakravarti Pad is saying in his Granth called Prem Sampud, and also in the commentary, that Krishna understood that Srimati Radhika is feeling the pain what the gopis are going through. Even at the stage when Sri Radhika is with Krishna alone, there is no point for Sri Radhika to think about anybody else. At that time, Srimati Radhika is thinking about the gopis. That is why Srila Bhaktivedanta Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj mentions that she is Sevarani. Sevarani means not only that she enjoys serving Krishna, she is constantly thinking about others, how to engage other in the service of Krishna. So Krishna understood this point, that though Sri Radhika is with me in the forest, I am decorating her at Shringarvat, but in her heart she is not feeling satisfied. I must disappear so that later on, even if Sri Radhika is with me, she is not feeling the pleasure, but she would feel the pleasure and the happiness when all the gopis would meet with her and Ras would begin again. Radhika is not selfish. Radhika could have thought, oh, I am with Krishna, let me be with Krishna. But even in that stage, she's thinking. Srila Gurudev often say, Sarva Gyata and Sarva Mugdha. Though Krishna is enjoying his pastimes in Golok Vrindavan, but at the same time, he's constantly aware of what's happening in the material world. He is aware of each and every living entity. That's one reason he wears the cost of money, because in the cost of money, he sees all the universes. In the cost of money, he sees all the living entities. So Sri Param Gurudev, following this same mood that Krishna absorbed in Sri Radhika, writes Sri Radha Chinta Nivesha Yasya Kanti Vilopita Shri Krishna Charanam Vande Radha Alingit Vigraha. Radha Alingit Vigraha, two meaning of Alingit is given. First is Radha Chinta Nivesha, in the absorption of Srimati Radhika. Yasya Kanti, the Kanti, the effulgence of whose it disappeared. The effulgence of whose it disappeared. That Sri Krishna Charanam Vande. So we worship that Krishna. We worship that Krishna who is absorbed in Sri Radhika. Alingit Radha Alingit Vigraha. Alingit means that Sri Radhika has embraced Krishna, and it seems like that Krishna does not exist. That's one meaning of Alingit. Or second meaning of Alingit is that Krishna has taken the moods. Sri Gurudev is writing in the commentary, there's a particular insect who captures another insect and puts it inside the wall. So this small insect is feeling so much of fear that this bigger insect will come and kill me, he would swallow me. By remembering that over and over again, what happens that the smaller insect turns into the same insect who first got hold of him. So Gurudev said, if by thinking about a deer, Jad Bharatji can become a deer. So if by thinking about Sri Rup Manjari, Sri Radhika, or if by being absorbed in the mood of becoming one of the Palidasis of Sri Radhika, what doubt is there that we'll also attain that? There's no doubt. There's absolutely no doubt. So on this particular day, it's a very, very important day. Gurudev mentions how Param Gurudev's passing is mentioning that how Prabhupada's picture was kept on his heart, and he was chanting the name. And in the midst of kirtan, he left this material world. And the Vaishnavas also mentioned that Ras Leela is about to happen. One of the manjaris is missing. So the manjari is being called to that Param Vyom to perform this pastime of Sri Ras Leela. So I am thoroughly unqualified to talk about such a personality by any means. Only by Gurudev, whatever little I heard from him, his biography. If anyone reads Param Gurudev's biography, they will become proper Gaudiya. There's no chance of deviation. Param Gurudev's biography should be read from the first letter till the end. And this is one of the greatest works of Srila Gurudev, that he did not restrict Param Gurudev's biography only to some magical moments. The way he has intertwined the Siddhant in between, if anyone reads from first letter till the end, one will actually become a proper Gaudiya, and the mercy of Srila Gurudev would definitely be received by that person, because he had put in so much of effort to present that book. My presentation would definitely have so many flaws, because I'm a conditioned soul, as Maharaj was saying, that without tasting these things, one cannot really present it properly. But I'm a makeshift speaker. I was not meant to speak today, but I just spoke what little I know, and by saying this, I just pay pranams to Gurudev, to Param Gurudev, to the entire Rupana Guru Parampara, that somehow you have kept us on this path. Prabodhananda Saraswati Path says this. After writing 17 chapters for Shri Vrindavan Mahimamrit, he says, I've written 1700 verses in glorification of Vrindavan Mahimamrit. But I'm telling you the truth, I do not have faith in what I am speaking. I do not have faith in what I am speaking. I do not have a desire even to stay in Vrindavan. Still, I'm writing this. Why? Because even though I don't have faith, even though I don't have the desire to surrender myself to Vrindavan, at least I want my tongue to repeat these words because this is the last sutra of Vedanta, Anavriti Shabdat, that if one keeps on repeating the words with sincerity, the faults must be there. Param Gurudev would often say that if one has many, many faults, lust, greed, and anger, but if one has one quality, one pointed nishtha towards Sri Guru, then he would be able to overcome the rest of the other shortcomings which one has. So I'm hopeful that by the mercy of Gurudev and the Vaishnavas, maybe one day I'll be able to really actually present what he is saying or what he is writing. Shri Gurudev ki Jai. Param Gurudev ki Jai. Gauru Premanande. Hari Hari Hari. Hare Krishna.
Jai. Jai. Wonderful. Wonderful, Bhakti. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Vipin Prabhu, thank you for firstly stepping in last minute to cover one Maharaj, which we have to ask him for a special. Now we have to tell him on purpose to come and bring him back. But also, what an explosion of a understanding of Srila Param Gurudev and bringing him more relatable, because sometimes we hear about so many philosophies, so many different things, but you can't relate to it because that's not the position you're in. But you made Param Gurudev very relatable and very easy to access. And actually our acharyas are really easy to access. It's just we have to learn how to appreciate what they've come to give and need someone to actually show us that appreciation and that mood. So thank you for taking time out and stopping your schedule for the evening to speak on this Parikrama. Also, thank you to all of the other devotees that have come and listened to Harikatha. Tomorrow we have Srimad Jidani Maharaj again, and Srimad Vipin Prabhu speaking on our first day of Parikrama, which is Galya Day, Prabhupada Saraswati, etc. So we'll be tomorrow going actually on Braj Parikrama and exploring the beautiful pastime places. Vekanas Maharaj, did you want to add something, or shall I? Video. Hold on. Okay, you can unmute, I think, Maharaj.
I wanted to express something that was coming to me from the time that Sri Dandi Maharaj spoke, continued on with Vipin Prabhu, that this day starts, this whole month starts with the disappearance of Bhakti Kesava Goswami Maharaj. And I remember the first time that I came to the parikrama under the guidance of Srila Gurudev in 1997. And the first speaker that day was Trivikram Maharaj. And he couldn't speak. He tried to speak and his voice was completely choked up. He was weeping. I'd never seen anything like that. I didn't know what it meant. I couldn't understand it. I was just astonished, stunned. And then, we heard from Gurudev and over the years, began to understand, as was brought out so nicely by both speakers, the connection between this parikram and the necessity to connect and see it through one's connection with Sri Guru. And that Srila Bhakti Kesava Maharaj had that absolute, complete dedication to his Guru Maharaj. Our Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami, reflected that with his Guru Bhakti Kesava Maharaj. Our Srila Prabhupada certainly had it. And I loved hearing about their devotion. And it made me realize that you can't separate that this entire month, we have to maintain that sense of gratitude and ultimate dependence on our gurus and actually take this month as a great opportunity to reinforce that relationship. As Tridani Maharaj was talking about the Sankalpa, the vow, whatever we can do to enhance and increase the vow is actually a vow to our guru and a prayer to our guru to somehow connect us deeper, allow us entrance into this incredible place, this Vrindavan, these pastime places. And, hearing them speak, just millions of things came to mind, but I'm not going to say anything more. I'm going to just say one thing that I do remember when that book first came out, as Vipin Prabhu was talking about the biography of Param Gurudev. And it was based on the notes of Srila Vaman Maharaj and Gurudev's own recollections and relationship. And when it came out, Gurudev came to the San Francisco Bay Area, and I was with Radhakant at that time, and Gurudev asked us, had we read that book? And we were reading it, and he asked, he was so happy about that book. I mean, he was beaming. Even me in my state at that time, I could understand how much transcendental pride he had in that book, because it was all about his Gurudev and everything that his Gurudev did and stood for. And it made him so happy. As Vipin Prabhu has said, it may be the topmost book that Gurudev has done, because everything is there. Everything is there. So I just thought today was a wonderful day. Just want to express my gratitude to both speakers. I feel so inspired and ready for the month now. Thank you very much.
Just want to say
That's all
one thing. We firstly met
I
many,
can't
many
hear
years
him.
ago. Yeah. So I just want to
Use your,
mention,
go closer to your.
I just want to mention, Sripad Vivekananda Maharaj probably does not remember me. In 2013, you were speaking at Srimad and Mohan. Is voice audible? Voice audible? Yeah.
I can hear you clearly.
Now we
Yeah,
can.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So in 2013, Sripad Vivekananda Maharaj was speaking at Srimad and Mohan, and I was there. And he asked this question to the audience, who all have read Sri Brid Bhagavatamrit? And no one raised their hand. And Maharaj, in his most animated way, he said, disaster, disaster. So it highlighted that. I was like, I must read Sri Brid Bhagavatamrit from beginning till the end. So I finally did. So that was by the word disaster. I was like, there must be something in it. So I read that. Just wanted to say that.
That's funny.
Thank you, Vivekananda Maharaj, for also concluding, because what you've picked up is something that is actually really important. And actually, if we reflect back on what Gurudev did, like even when people used to walk in front of Srila Gurudev on parikrama, he used to like hit them or tell them to walk behind him. I've seen it on so many videos where people are trying to walk in front of him and he just stops them. And it's just those things, those little things that seem so, what's the problem? And actually there's so much depth behind it. And what Gurudev is giving, like Chaitanya Maharaj said when we did our pre-Kartik, that Gurudev's leading this parikrama. Actually, we're just following him, and he's the one that's actually doing this parikrama, and taking us with him. And we're really fortunate that we have come into this line, and also that we've come under the shelter of someone like Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, and so many other acharyas. But we're so fortunate to be in this Rupanuga Guru Varga line. Like, I actually, I don't, like, I've been to other mats also, and actually Gurudev is so open about so many things, so many Rasik things, that we're so fortunate that actually we need to take it with so much gravity. Though Gurudev gave it, he's given it with so much gravity. He's given his heart basically to us. He's given an opening to us in this, especially in this month where it was so important for him that we all go on parikrama. So thank you, Maharaj, for also highlighting that. Like I said, tomorrow we have Vipin Prabhu and Chaitanya Maharaj. We're going on our first official parikrama tomorrow to Kalia there and to Prabhupada and etc. So split between Sridhar Maharaj and Prabhu, we'll go and visit those places and offer our prayers to those places. If anyone is not in the WhatsApp group and wants to get regular information about the Bhakti Zoom programs, not just for Kartik, but future as well, I will send the WhatsApp group onto this. And also, thank you for Tridandi Maharaj for the inspiration and also taking time out to actually speak. All the Vaishnavas that are giving me inspiration, and my beloved Srila Gurudev for providing me the capability right now to do to host this and do this seva. So thank you for engaging me. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And Madhu will now lead our end kirtan, and then we'll conclude. Hari Hari Bol Dandavat Pranams. Madhu Prabhu, you ready? I'm just going to ask you to unmute.
Yep, thank you. We're going to sing Hari Hari Kave Haba Vrindavana Vasi.
Okay. We have to do our Guru Puja now. So let's see, how do I do this?
What's the WhatsApp group?
Hari Hari Vrindavana Vasi Nirakhi Banayane Jugalaru Parasi Tyajiya Sayana Sukha Vichitra Palanka Kabe Braje Radhulaya Rusara Kabe Anga Sadrasha Bhojana Dure Parihari Parihari Kabe Braje Magia Kaiva Madhukari Parikrama Kariya Veda Bhavane Vane Vishrama Kariya Yamuna Puline Tapadura Sitala Shivate Kabe Kunja Vaitha Bahama Vaishnava Nikate Narottama Dasa Kahe Kari Parihar Kabe Bae Manadas Haibe Amar Parikrama Kariya Veda Bane Vane Vishrama Kariya Yamuna Puline Hari Hare Kabe Hava Vrindavana Vasi Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Vrindavana Dham Jaya Brajmandal Dham Vrindavana Dham Jaya Brajmandal Jaya Navatirtham Jaya Vrindavana Dham, Navatirtham Jaya Vrindavana Dham, Jaya Narottam Das Thakur, Jaya Narottam Das Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur, Jaya Narottam Das Thakur, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Param Gurudev, Jaya Param Gurudev, Param Gurudev, Jaya Param Gurudev, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Radha Damodara, Radha Damodara, Radhe, Jaya Radha Damodara, Radha Damodara, Radhe, Jaya Radha Ramana, Radha Ramana, Radhe, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Giri Raja, Jaya Govardhana, Giri Raja, Jaya Govardhana, Jaya Radha Kunda, Jaya Shyama Kunda, Radha Kunda, Jaya Shyama Kunda, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. I go